Hey folks, Fish Den 365 here, and I'm here to talk about a particular problem that some new anglers tend to have. In fact, I've had quite a number of anglers over the years come to me and say, how do you know when you have a bite when you're fishing soft plastics and jigs, especially jigs? In fact, I know people that won't fish a jig because they just don't have confidence that they can detect a bite when they're fishing a jig. So the question is, how do you know when you have a bite for fishing soft plastics and jigs for bass? Well, I've been fishing for nearly 50 years now, and I've studied bass fishing for the last 25-30 years. I've gone to all kinds of seminars from the top pros. I spent numerous hours on the water gaining my own experience in fishing. But the number one thing I can tell you about how to detect a bite, I'm going to tell you right now. Are you ready? Well, here it is. The number one thing to do is not worry about what it feels like to get a bite. The number one thing to do is understand what it feels like when you don't have a bite. Because most of the time when you're fishing, you don't. And so if you know what it feels like to not have a bite, then anytime it feels different, that something doesn't feel quite right or feel like it normally does when you don't have a bite, you set the hook. It's that simple. It's just reversing how you think about things. But if you try that, I think you'll find that it is very effective in learning how to detect bites. Now, if you do that, if you learn what it feels like not to have a bite, and then you start to set the hook on anything that feels different, you're going to catch a whole lot more fish. Now, you'll get snagged now and then too, because sometimes it's not a fish. You might be stuck on a stump or a rock, that kind of thing. But overall, this is how you gain the experience. You have to have the right mindset. And the mindset of, what does it feel like when I don't have a bite? Anything that feels different, I'm going to set the hook. Now, the person that I learned that from, his name is Woo Daves. For those of you who are too young to know who Woo Daves is a professional bass fisherman. He fished the FLW Tour, fished BASS circuit. He won the Classic in 2000. He's known as an excellent worm fisherman, and I've gone to a number of his seminars over the years. And this is one of the things that he taught in his seminars, to learn what it feels like when you're not getting a bite. And anything that feels different, swing. And he would often say something else along these lines. He would say, it's better to look the fool than to be the fool. And what he meant by that is, some people seem to be afraid to set the hook when they're with somebody else when they're fishing, because if it's not a fish, they'll get laughed at perhaps, or somebody will look at him like, why'd he set the hook when there was no fish there? But what Woo was trying to teach was, it's better to do that with the chance of it not being a fish than missing a fish entirely, than being the fool, in other words. So don't be afraid to swing. Don't be afraid to set the hook. If anything feels different, set the hook. And as you practice and get more experience in soft plastics and jig fishing, you'll know, you'll understand when you're getting a bite. But this is the best way to start to learn and to get the experience that you need. I hope that helps you out. Fish Den 365 here. We're certified bassified. And if you liked this video and thought it was helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks everybody. Have a great day, and may God bless your fishing endeavors.